Terveisiä kaikille Ruotsista. Tuossa mun takana on Ruotsin eduskunta ja mä oon tällä hetkellä raportoimassa teille siitä, että mitä täällä Ruotsissa oikein tapahtuu. Ja pahoittelut, tää video tulee olemaan englanniksi, koska mulla on tässä vieressä ruotsalainen kansanedustaja Angelika Bengtsson. Welcome.
Thank you.
And she will be telling us what's really happening. So the police in Sweden is calling September the Black Month. Why so?
Because we had so many shootings and actually bombings in Sweden for the recent couple of days. And it's the worst period we've ever seen in Sweden.
Ever?
It's really
because we hear really a lot of bad news from Sweden to Finland.
Yeah.
And it's like a bad example for us how you shouldn't do things.
Exactly.
But now this is like a record, like
Yeah.
it's even worse. So why is it worse?
Why? Because the government, the social democratic government that used to be the government last year, they have only been working, you know, how can we prevent? How
Yeah.
can we prevent all the crime that is doing? There's nothing, they have not done anything with the laws.
Yeah.
So now finally we are changing the laws, making it harder, making it younger people to be in prison. All of these things takes time.
Yeah.
So I think in 1 year, 2 years, you will see a different. The work is starting now.
Okay.
We've been doing that since a year back, since we started to cooperate with the government.
Yeah.
That is new.
So was it that Social Democrats were concentrating more on the soft tools
The
to
soft
tackle the
tools,
problem?
talking about how you can prevent people going into crime by, I don't know, doing school education and only talking about how we should have sports in the countries and culture things instead of the harsh things.
Yeah.
That really make sense.
Yeah. Well, that's scary to hear because we have been having a bit similar suggestions among our politicians in Finland that we need to do these soft things instead of hard things. Well, now things are changing in Finland, of course, but it used to be like that. But can you describe what is behind like this Black Month numbers and basically the whole year? Why this year has been record year? What has really happened?
Well, first of all, we haven't had an integration that worked because of the amount of large migration to Sweden.
Yeah.
Now it's two gangs who are shooting each other. The funny part is that the leaders of these two gangs that hate each other, those two gangs, they're not even in Sweden. They are in Turkey.
Yeah.
And we can't do anything about that.
What are the name of these gangs?
One is the Foxtrot, and the other one is then it's another group.
But it's Uppsala and Stockholm basically.
They are
based.
exactly. But you see the crimes around Stockholm as well. Like it was a shooting in Uppsala, a bombing in Uppsala a couple of days ago. A 25-year-old girl that has nothing to do with crimes at all died because they bombed the wrong house. They bombed her house instead of the neighbor house who are relatives to one of the gang leaders.
This doesn't sound like Sweden. This is more like a Middle East,
today.
basically.
This is Sweden today, and we are so sorry. Actually, tonight our Prime Minister is holding a speech to the country because of the situation here right now.
Okay. And is it correct that only in September, this September, there has been 11, was it shootings, victims?
Yes.
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 Okay. And this is all related to the same problem?
Yes, it's all related to these two gangs who are, hating each other, shooting each other. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people who has nothing to do with this that gets involved, that gets in the way.
Yeah.
So now I told you about this 25-year-old girl that got shot. She has nothing to do. She was just a normal, regular 25-year-old girl that starting and working.
How are Swedish people thinking about the situation? Because if some random people can become part of this violence and can be shot or bombed or killed, like what are their feelings about that? Like anyone basically can be. Is that the fear?
Finally waking up, I think.
Yeah.
Because now it's not only happening in the suburb areas, the areas that is connected with the criminalities. It is among all of us now. It is just you can go on the street and you will get shot. There is last week was a 60-year-old guy who got shot, and he had also nothing to do with it. He just happened to be on the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So now finally people are starting to wake up and see and asking themselves what the heck is actually happening in Sweden? Why is all these shootings happening?
If I understand correctly, your party, the Swedish Democrats, for a long time they have been discriminated in politics. So do you see that other politicians are now more willing to adapt the tools and the suggestions what your party has been having for many years when other parties have been laughing? Are they really ready to change?
It is actually a very funny question you're asking, because yes,
they are.
They are, because now we've been saying for 6 or 7 years, something like that, that the military needs to help the police in areas that is out of control.
Military.
The military.
Oh.
Now today, we've been saying this for years. Now today, the Social Democratic Party said the same thing. But then, when we suggested it,
was
they
not
were
okay.
laughing at us. They were like, "Are you out of your mind? What? The military is the last thing that we need in those areas." Who are laughing now?
Yeah.
Now we see on area after area, the Social Democratic Party, they suggest the same thing that we did years ago.
Yeah.
We should have done it years ago, and I think then we wouldn't have the problems that we see today.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about that. They're actually responsible of what's happening now in Sweden.
Totally.
And now they are doing the things that they have been laughing earlier to you. So then, do you remember numbers from this year, like how many shootings or bombings there have been in Sweden? I think there were quite big numbers.
If I remember it correctly, it was 43 shootings this year.
Yeah.
And bombings around. Only this week we have seen three bombings.
This week?
This week.
Oh.
And they are getting more aggressive as well, because in the beginning of the year there was this small bombings, if I can say it like that.
Yeah.
There wasn't huge damages. But last week we saw a bombing happening in Linköping, which is one of the biggest cities in Sweden. The whole facade on the house blew out. The whole facade. You could actually see inside of people's living rooms.
Yeah.
So the bombings also getting more aggressive, because nothing happens. We can't stop them because we don't have the tool yet, because we have to change the law. But it takes time to change the law, as you know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it takes a lot of time to make the new laws. You need to hear the specialists. You need to have the parliamentary handlings, everything.
Exactly.
And after that, they start to come to effect. But what has already happened, that so many people have come to the country. So some part of the problem you kind of like it's hard to take away.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
some people wants to keep their culture and wants to live in the segregated
Exactly.
communities and doesn't want to integrate and become part of like Swedish society.
The best thing with our new government, who is ruling thanks to us because we are the second biggest party in Sweden, is that now we are changing politics around migration, and we can see that. We can see that less people are coming to Sweden, less people are gonna be allowed to stay here because we can't take care of them. And we see also that a lot of things are changing due to changing laws when it comes to crimes.
Yeah.
And justice.
Yeah. Well, tää on se tilanne, mikä täällä on, ja varmasti kukaan ei halua sitä Suomeen. Onneksi tällä hetkellä nyt sitten saatiin uusi hallitus myöskin Suomeen, ja nyt sitten perussuomalaiset oli neuvottelemassa näistä todella kovista tiukennuksista, mitä tulee suomalaiseen maahanmuuttopolitiikkaan. Ja me päästään myöskin Suomessa nyt jo pikkasen aikaisemmin, mitä Ruotsi muuttamaan maahanmuuttopolitiikkaa. Nytkin ollaan jo myöhässä, mutta onneksi kansalaiset äänesti, että nyt päästiin vaikuttaville paikoille. Mutta ihan oikeasti, tämä on se todellisuus. Bombings, shootings, rising sex crimes, all of the things that have been happening in Sweden. We don't want that in Finland. But thank you, Angelika, so much for sharing your insights.
Don't do our mistakes, please.
Well, we are trying our best. This is really valuable information for the Finnish audience to hear. Like, what is the real situation here? It sounds very crazy. Even myself, I can't believe this is true, but it is true.
It is true.
Yeah. Okei. Näihin tunnelmiin tämä raportti päättyy. Morjesta.